Guys, oh hey guys, it's your girl. It's been a minute since I made a video, only a couple days, but still. I was supposed to do one last night for karaoke, but some plans got derailed. I'm not going to go into detail yet because I was asked not to. But some other things took a priority, so karaoke didn't happen. I'm trying to find a place that's doing it tonight, so hopefully that happens. Of course, because I don't have the 50 subscribers yet, I can't go live, so I'll probably have to do a recording like this and pause until it's my turn. But this video is a continuation about relationships. The first video, if you watched it, was relationships and how the very first most important step is loving yourself. Okay? So the second part to relationships is building a friendship. Okay? You want to be in a relationship with somebody that is your best friend. Somebody that you know that you can talk to about anything. Because not only is loving yourself like a major foundation, it is like, you know how when you're building your house and it's just land, your first goal is to even it out a little bit so that, you know, it's smooth and flat. And at first you have to start by digging up everything, and so it's just that dirt. That's the loving yourself part. That's the dirt, the bottom of it. The friendship part, which is the second part of it, is when they're pouring down when they're putting the wood down and the metal wires, not the barbs, those aren't barbed wires, the steel rods, whatever, whatever it's called, please drop it in the comments, okay? Because my brain just went completely blank on what they're called. But when they're dropping down the parameters for where they're going to lay the concrete foundation, so that is the friendship part. That is fundamental and extremely important. You don't want to be in a relationship with somebody that you're not friends with. So you want to make sure that you are friends with your person first, okay? And building that friendship entails so much. Of course, again, and you're going to hear me say it a lot, loving yourself. Because again, when you love yourself completely, truly, deeply, inside and out, flaws and all, loving somebody else is so much different, because not only are you loving them because you want to love them, but you're loving them for who they are. You're loving them for their flaws. You're loving them for their mistakes. You're loving them for their essence, the essence of who they are. And that's when you start to build that friendship, because you understand each other on so many different levels. Solomon!
King.
Stay away from my clay.
I swear to God,
it's hard enough getting it to work on canvas, which I've learned I have to build it first and then put it on canvas. But anyway, and so you're nurturing that friendship, and the friendship should be on as many levels as possible, having your differences but your similarities. The differences, of course, they make you who you are. They make you an individual, and then having the similarities give you ease in having things that you can do together easily. You know, it's not all about having it to where you're simply doing something because it's something that the other person likes. You do have those, and those are okay to have, because it's like, okay, I'm not really into this, but you are, and I want to share that with you, so I'll be there with you. But it's not really my thing. And then you, of course, have those moments and those times where it's like, no, we both really enjoy this. For example, me and my soon-to-be ex-husband, we're separated. Like, he loves golf. I don't really care for sports. I like to watch football, and I like to watch basketball. Other than that, I'm not really a sports fan. I don't understand the need to hurt each other or ourselves over a ball. Granted, it makes a lot of money, but then if you end up, worst case scenario, dead, then what good is the money? You aren't alive to spend it now. So I've never understood it, but I also am not going to negate anybody for wanting to do it, because if it brings you happiness, then that's all that matters, okay? So he likes golf. He loves it so much. I don't. Okay, I don't understand getting angry because the ball didn't go where you wanted it to or you lost it. I don't understand the fact that it costs so much for a year of play. I don't like how much you have to spend on it just to have a day of play. Like, you just spend lots of money. You gotta have gloves, you gotta have the balls, and you lose those like crazy. Like, wow, the amount of money spent on golf is ridiculous. All the money if I saved all the money that was spent on golf, we could have bought a house. At least put the down payment on it. I have a couple, but I'll show you in a little bit. So you know, that's a lot of money. But I went with him on occasion because he wanted me to be there. And I was bored out of my mind because you have to be quiet. I'm not really quiet. I'm not a very quiet person. I can only handle being quiet for so long. Then like I gotta say something, I gotta do something, I gotta have some kind of noise, okay? So I'm not a quiet person. So sitting there for 4 hours being quiet, it's very nerve-wracking. It's 4 hours of silence. No. I mean, if I absolutely have to be, then okay, but one wrong noise at just the wrong time, and I made the mistake a couple times. It is what it is. But I didn't really care for being there because of having to be quiet for so long and just all the stuff, okay? And so it became a thing where, it started to bring him down on wanting to go because I always made it a big thing, not really intending to be, but that's just because I didn't care for it. And I love karaoke. I absolutely love singing. If you've watched my other videos that I've posted, majority of them with the exception of the Getting to Know Me, and the first part of this series, or set, whatever, has all been karaoke so far. So, I love karaoke. I love singing. And I think my best friend / sister found a place that does it on a Saturday night, and so we're probably going to go to that because we missed out on last night. So I'm excited about that. Possibly. But it's not at the sports page. It's going to be a perfect shot. But he doesn't care for it because there's so many noises, and he has a mild form of Asperger's, so certain noises are just great on him. And he only went because I like it. And that wasn't good or fair to him, because it's like, if you're only doing it because I like it, then you're doing it for the wrong reason. You should do it because you want to, and because to some extent you enjoy it. The only reason I go to golf with you is because you want me there to support you and to encourage you and to talk to you on occasion while we're driving to find your ball or whatever. But I'm only going because you want me to, not because I want to. And so you have to be careful when you're doing too much of something because somebody else likes it. You have to do the things you do because you like it. And if you are like, well, I do like it, but at the end of the day, deep down, you really don't. You only really like it because the other person really likes it, then you're doing it for the wrong reason, and you're going to find yourself miserable. And you don't want to find yourself in that situation, because then it starts to take a toll on the relationship. And once it starts taking a toll on the relationship, you start to lose that connection. And so building your friendship should be next on your list to loving yourself and working on you and who you are and who you want and what you want. Don't settle for any less just because it's there. It's going to not be good in the long run. So, take your time. Really cultivate every aspect of this. Because that song, The Bones, and I don't know if I have it in my videos as one I've done. I don't think so. I'm going to. I think that's going to be a karaoke video I do, is The Bones. But just like it says, the house don't fall when the bones are good. So if you've built a strong foundation in yourself and then in your friendship, the next step, which will be in another video, is going to be that much easier. You'll find yourself with each step being a little bit easier because you worked really hard on building the first one. And when I talk about loving yourself, I'm not saying that you have to do it alone, because doing it completely alone is not healthy. It's not good, because you have to have somebody that you can bounce things off of so that you can make sure it's not all just in here. So, yes, work on you. Work on you a lot. Dig deep. Make sure that you are healing from your stuff, because you don't want to take your stuff in its complete full rawness to the table. Because the person you're with might be able to handle it in the beginning, but as you dig deeper into your guys' dynamic and your relationship, and they see just how much it is and how hard it is, it can become so overwhelming, especially if they have their own stuff, and then you can create a divide. And I can say that because that is what happened in this marriage. He was so good at helping me through my marriage at the time, because I was married when I met him. And that marriage was abusive as fuck. And trust me, that's going to be a whole nother series, okay? That's got its own parts. It's going to be 10 years worth, okay? So it's going to be a lot of videos going over the depths of everything. And I want you guys to know I will 100% acknowledge my parts in it, because it was not all on the other person. It was on me too, because the things I said and did not help the situation. I definitely could have responded so much differently. And so it really becomes a thing of, I wish I knew then what I know now. And in this marriage, today, in this moment, right here, right now, I wish I knew then what I know now. But because of what's been done, I don't want to go back into that. And so here, I'll explain why I get to say that. I squirrels a lot, so don't mind me. But I eventually found my way back. He was really good at helping me through the shit. Like, number one supporter, best friend, hands down. This was awesome, okay? It was hook, line, and sinker. Just, oh my God. People could just say his name, and I was like, yeah. I mean, I was dead drop in love. Like, wow, he knew what to say. He knew what to do. I didn't have to ask. It was just boom. And then after he proposed, we ended up getting into our first fight. Now, he's 13 years older than me, and he was raised in a generation where you didn't talk about it. You didn't ask questions about the jobs. You didn't input your opinions or anything in the repairings around the house. If it was the man's job, you as the woman stayed out of it. I was not raised that way. I was raised that you talked about things. And of course, I was also raised where there was a lot of yelling and fighting, and that's also a whole nother story, because before I can tell you about the first marriage, I have to tell you about the me and how I grew up, so that it's just a starting kind of at the beginning. And so I'll probably mention this part of my story again when I get to that part later on, but because this is a part about relationships, I felt it's important to bring it up. So we ended up having our first fight. And at that point, I had been helping him a couple times with year-end stuff at his job. So I had an idea, and I was just like, so I had an idea about and I didn't even get to finish the word, and he was on me about it. I mean, his frustration was here. And the reason I will never forget this day is because of how I responded to my daughter. She's my middle, and she has always been one to try to get in the middle of me and her dad's, both of them, whenever we were fighting. Always trying to squash it, stop it, get it to not happen. And so she was trying to calm me down and get me to stop, and I pushed her away and I screamed as loud as I could to not touch me. And then I went in my room and had my freak out session. And he took a break, and then he came in, wanted me to finish what I was going to say, and so I did. What happened was we never fully, or he never fully resolved that, because he was also raised in a generation where it's over and done with. 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 And so the repetitiveness of it just being over and done with is later on and years down the road really affected our relationship, because after that things slowly started to taper off. I started having to ask for things that I had never had to ask for before. And as the years continued to progress, each fight we had just added to the very first one, and it just kept going and kept going. It kept building and kept building. And we started to get to a point where we were throwing our marriage into it. We were not being intimate, and being intimate is also a very important part of your relationship. And intimacy is not just sex. There is so much more to intimacy than that. There's cuddling, there's holding hands, there's hugs and kisses, there's date nights, there's maybe taking a shower together. There's all of those things can be considered intimacy, especially when you're doing it with your person and you're creating that moment and you're not bringing anything else to that table, because that table should not include what happened at work, how the kids are behaving, what's wrong with the house, what bills are due. Take those out of that time, because that can be reserved for before your date night or your intimate time, or after. It does not ever, should not ever be during. When you are on your date nights and you're cultivating that time together, it should be about each other, where you see yourselves in the future. Do you have goals? Do you have new goals? Do you want to alter some of the ones you've already had because things have changed? It should be about you too, okay? And so we weren't having any type of intimacy. It would be months and months and months in between. And we weren't really even talking very much unless it was fighting. And we realized here in August, and it was because of a wonderful content creator that goes by the name Creative Wonders on TikTok and Instagram. And he always has really wonderful and insightful things to say. And he had mentioned that somebody had talked to him about the difference between the love of your life and your soulmate. And so I shared that particular TikTok with him, and I asked him, I was like, now, from the day you proposed, you have always said that I'm the love of your life, but am I your soulmate? And he said he needed to think about it. And an hour or two later, he calls me, and we start talking about it. And he was like, I think you're right, I'm and he was pausing and stuff for a second. So I was like, think about it. When it's the love of your life, you'll take a lot. Like, you'll take a lot, and a lot and a lot and a lot, and you'll just keep taking, and then eventually you do reach a point where you just can't anymore, and then you end things. And a lot of times it kind of doesn't matter if feelings are hurt in the process. It does, but it doesn't, kind of a thing. But when it's your soulmate, the very thought of hurting them hurts you. So then you try your best to find another way to do it, another way to word things, another way to go about the situation so that you're not hurting them. And sometimes you end up having to anyway in order for the message to get across. But you have so much in there that you talk about those things, and you're like, look, I don't know how to word this, but I really need you to hear this and to understand this and to see where I'm coming from. But it's such a different dynamic when they're your soulmate versus when they're the love of your life. And you can only find out if they are the love of your life or your soulmate if you have really built that friendship first, because that's when you feel and build. It's a lot. There's a lot that goes into relationships. It's not just a quick slam bam thank you man. And now, just because you've cultivated and built a friendship does not necessarily mean that you're going to marry this person. Maybe they just end up being your bestest friend forever, your ride or die. Maybe they end up getting so close to you that you see them as a sister or a brother or something like that. Just because it is a deep-rooted friendship does not mean that it leads to you committing to that person for the rest of your life and saying I do. It just means that you created a friendship so deep that it became this. And that's going to be another set of videos in continuing the relationship set is, are you creating a family relationship, as in I see you as a brother sister relationship, or is this going to lead to the next step, which is boyfriend girlfriend? And if you've chosen boyfriend girlfriend, then there's marriage after that. If you've chosen the more family dynamic brother sister, then that's where that pretty much ends. Has been situations where
Not you on broads.
thank you.
SP's raw too.
Oh, she'd be mad. There have been situations where people saw somebody as a brother or sister and things just played out in the future where, because of that connection being so deep and so full and just so whatever it was, that it ended up becoming more. They ended up finding themselves like, no, I know I've always saw you as this, but I've kind of fallen in love with you because, I mean, you know me better than blah blah. And so that can happen. So we can also cover that. And then the last one we'll cover is the actual being married. Okay. And so there's a lot. And I do have my own views and my own opinions. So if you agree with them, great. And if you don't, why not share them? Share your point of view. Share how you view things. Share how you perceive it. Because to me, no answer is wrong. It's just a different perception. And that's something that I was struggling with in my current marriage, because we are legally still married, although separated, is that in nobody's view to me is wrong. It's just different. Now, yes, there is a correct to most all things. There is the correct. You can research and find the correct. It's something that's been documented. However, your perception of it, your viewpoint on it is yours, and you are entitled to that. And nobody can tell you that you are wrong for having your perception and your view on things. Now, they don't have to agree with it, but they don't get to tell you that you're wrong for thinking and viewing the way you do. Okay? So, there's going to be a lot to cover. But so that, we're back on track, build your friendship. Make sure that this person, no matter how it ends up, is your best friend. And who said that you only could have one? Like
You
who?
can have multiple.
You
I
can
have
have multiple.
friends.
Right, well, best friends.
Yeah, best friends.
Because you have best friends and then you have your friends. And there is a difference between your best friends and your friends. Your friends...
Best friends can get away with way more than friends.
That is true. And, oh my goodness, my nose is itchy. Best friends... regular friends, they know a few things about you. They know the basics. They know enough about you that, if they were asked questions, they could answer some of them. Your best friends know everything. Like, they're the person you go to.
You. Mm-hmm. They can upset you, but not to the point where you're tipped off.
I love the coverage of wordage there. That's really good.
Mm-hmm. But like, yes, they can upset you, but not so much as you get like, ooh, I'm gonna punch you and stuff like that.
Like a friend?
You don't do that. No.
A friend, I might knock you out if you piss me off.
Yeah,
if a friend takes my food, I'm gonna be pissed off. If my best friend takes my food, you can have it.
It's just like, nah, I don't care, bro.
I love my food. So...
You're right.
But yeah, best
it's
friend
definitely
takes
a thing.
It's like, whatever. You're my best friend.
Well, let's see. If you're my best friend, if I'm letting you take some of my food, you better be letting me take some of your food, because this needs to be a fair exchange. Now, me and your aunt, we're very good about that. when we go out to eat together, whether it's just me and her or whether it's me, her, and the guys, when we're eating out together, we always give each other a little bit of each other's food so that we can try everything. Because she'll order something different than me, and I'm like, but that sounds really good. Okay, how about I order this and you order that, and then I'll try some of yours and you can try some of mine. We're like, sounds good. And
if my
shoot.
friend gets hurt, I'm gonna first help them. But if my best friend gets hurt, I'm gonna laugh at them and then I'm gonna help them.
Yeah, that's literally
Yeah,
the same.
because they're your best friend and they know that you're. Well, it's just like the friend I had in Colorado. At that point in time, we were best friends. And she was taking me out to the wagon wheel so we could karaoke and drink. And I was walking to her car. And it was a black sheet of ice, and I didn't know that because there was a layer of snow over it. So I went to step down as I was getting ready to open her door, and the ice took me down, and I slid halfway under her car. And after I finally got the nerve to crawl out from under there, I was starting to laugh because how stupid of me. And I look in the window expecting this bitch to be trying to see if I'm okay. And she's in there, windows up, just cackling away. And I'm like, I open the door and I'm like, you bitch. And she's like, I figured you were okay. But it was funny because you were just waddle to the car and then gone. I was like, you.
Like when Dad, remember that one time when we were in the old house, I think it was the Big Arm house.
Hey, Bucko.
And he was trying to walk to the car and then he just kept slipping and he couldn't stop himself. And he was just like,
It's funny. It's always hilarious when somebody else falls. I mean, I don't like falling. It hurts me because I have a lot of physical health issues, so falling hurts really bad. But watching somebody else fall, that is
smell him,
fucking
I gave
priceless.
him a bath.
You gave him a bath? He let you give him a bath? Like water on his body, soap from neck down to tail, ass and all, just scrubbing him down. What? How?
Okay, so I was scared because of everything you told me. So I had 2 hoodies. I had oven so I was prepared. But he struggled a little bit, but he ended up, like, I just held him down like this. And I just paused like this so I could hold his back like that. And I just cleaned him.
He's looking at you like, what are you doing? Here.
He was mad at me for a second.
Let me show you my daughter's cat. His name is King Solomon. Whoa. Well, would you hold on for a second? His name is King Solomon. And he loves her over everybody. If I wasn't holding a phone at the same time, he'd probably let me hold him better. But because I'm one-handing it, he's a shit ass. And that's my youngest. My youngest daughter anyway. I have 2 boys. They're my nephews, but I consider them my boys.
He just don't care.
And I don't have permission to have them on camera, so I'm not going to until I do. But, yeah. Like I said, there's a lot that go into relationships in general, and you have to have good foundations to start with. They help a lot.
Especially communication. Communication is key in any relationship, in friendship, parent, like any dynamic you're in. Communication is key.
You got to be able to talk about it. Well, we'll talk about it later. Do you ever really talk about it later? No. So, my rule in my house is 5 minutes. Take 5. That is it. That is all you get.
For me, it's 15.
Yeah, not when it comes to me. I don't listen to no 15. I give you 5, if even that. But that's because I'm me. But no, 5 minutes. Take 5. Think about it. Calm down, because when you're angry and you're heated, you say shit you shouldn't, and you say shit you don't mean, because you're in the moment, you're angry, you're hurt. That's not okay. The take 5 is not just for you, it's for the other person as well. That take 5, you're not supposed to go do the dishes or go cleaning the house. You're supposed to literally go take 5, calm down, and think about the situation that happened and how you want to handle it coming into the next few minutes. And then after 5 minutes, you come back and you talk about it. Talk, not yell, not fight, not scream and rant and rave. Talk about it. If you feel yourself reaching a point where you're starting to escalate and elevate again, take 5 again. And you continue to take 5 until you resolve the situation. Because your goal is not to be attacking the person, because it is not the person. It is the situation. When you start attacking the person, you're in the wrong. You're attacking the situation. It should never
It's
be.
you and the person against the situation.
Yes.
You're basically just talking about me right there.
Not.
If the shoe fits.
Hey.
It does fit.
Well, that's okay. That's my 11-year-old. He's my old. Well, his brother is my oldest boy, but I haven't met him yet. So he's my oldest boy.
She don't know. She don't know what he looks like.
Well, I know what he looks like as far as from the pictures, but
Yeah, but not now.
but he is 11. He is my oldest boy, and then my youngest is just into his Switch at the moment, and he's 9.
And I'm
Jesus
into the
Christ.
PS5 right here.
He's playing Baldur's Gate.
I'm not playing Baldur's Gate. What do you mean?
What are you playing then?
902.
Oh, well, whatever. It looked like Baldur's Gate, whatever.
How do you think this
I
looks
know.
like Baldur's Gate?
I've been in their lives
These
since
don't look like
We've
Baldur's
been in their
Gate.
lives
her
since
mom
they were
was,
babies.
since their mom was pregnant with the oldest, and I intend to be around forever.
She's been in my life since
You
I
ain't
was
following
3.
me, homie.
That's a long time, and that we have a good friendship. She's my sister. We built a really good friendship first, and it became a sistership. And we have a really good. We get on each other's nerves. Don't get it twisted. That woman can irritate the living fucking shit out of me, and I know for a fact I irritate the living shit out of her. We get mad at each other. We've said things to each other we probably shouldn't have in the heat of the moment because we were mad. But at the end of the day, at the end of every day, no matter what disagreement we were having, no matter fight we were having, we squashed it, we resolved it, and we reminded each other that we're there for each other and we love each other. And that is how a good, solid relationship is supposed to be. You are supposed to be like, oh my God, woman, sometimes I just want to wrap my hands around you and strangle you, but I love you so much. She's my ride or die. I'm her ride or die. We've got each other's backs. And I want everybody to have that kind of relationship with people. And it is easy to have. And you know what makes it even easier? Is when you stop looking at all the negatives and start looking at all the positives. Then you can start really having successful relationships because you're not sitting there worried about all the negative things. You're focusing on the positive and the similarities. But I think we did pretty good in this video. So I'm going to go ahead and call it good. I forgot to say what I say at the beginning of the videos, which is thank you for being here in the video and thank you for being alive. So I'm telling you that now because whether or not anybody else is grateful you're alive, I'm grateful you're alive. And you know what? My opinion matters, okay? And now that I'm ending the video, love yourself first and foremost because that is the most important thing you could ever do. And then love others because that's important too. Love you guys. Have a good night. Bye.